We have to stop overthinking. Hi, my name's Christine L. Conroy. Welcome to Happy Stuff and Fluff, a channel for women over 50 who are getting happy and growing younger. If this is your first visit, why not join us and subscribe? And please remember to hit the bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. Okay, so overthinking then. On the video where I chatted with Barbara, and I'll leave the link here if you haven't seen that yet, I talked about a meeting that I had whilst I was in Copenhagen with 4 Danish women who happen to belong to a group of people who are said to be the happiest in the world. So these are women over the age of 65 who live in Denmark. So of course the Danish always come top, a top nation. When we look at the happiest nations of the world, Denmark always comes up at the top. And so I managed to have this lovely chat with these 4 ladies, and one of the things that came out of that conversation was that they said maybe we just think too much, and that stuck with me, and it also seemed to resonate with you. So I have a question for you. Do you overthink things? Answer yes or no in the comments box below. I think we all do it, and in Stitch Your Own Silver Linings I talk about 3 particular nasties in this field, and I call them thinging. No, that's not a lisp. I'm not trying to say thinking, it's thinging. And they are, I'll put them here, ruminating, imagining and exaggerating. Now okay, so let's just talk about what we mean by that. So ruminating, first of all, is simply thinking about the same thing over and over again. So, worrying something to death, not actually reaching a conclusion, but just thinking about the same thing over and over and over again. Ruminating. Imagining, so thinking, what if? What if he doesn't turn up? What if they don't like me? What if it costs too much? What if, what if? That's imagining. And then exaggerating, so making things 10 times worse than they actually are. Or if, in an argument, for example, you find yourself saying, you always do this, it's always like that, just exaggerating a particular situation. Now, if you do any of these things, it can really harm your health. I'm sure you know this. And it can make you ill at worst, and at best it ruins any chance you have of happiness if you have a habit of thinking. So we need to stop it. And this is the kickstart to help you to do that. So first of all, you've got to catch yourself doing it. Now, the way you do that, if you look at the first video in the series of Stinking Thinking, I'll either put a link up here to that or at the end of this video. But if you go back to that video, we talk about the fact that every single thought you have produces a chemical in your body. And if you are having bad thoughts, then it produces a chemical. And that for me, if you remember, I told you I feel negativity in my tummy. I can feel it simmering away there. So you will get a sensation in your body too. You might get a headache, you might get tight chest even. You'll know where you feel negativity. As I say, for me it's in my tummy. So if I check in occasionally to see how I'm feeling and I've got that pit in my stomach, then I ask the question, right, okay, what was I thinking about then that's causing that pit in my stomach? And so that's called checking in. Now, I try to do that when I stop at a red light. Just check in, how am I feeling? One of my clients puts a timer on his computer so that every couple of hours it rings and it reminds him to check in. How is he feeling? What was he thinking about at that time? If you find yourself, as I say, catch yourself doing those things, then you are halfway to stopping doing it at all. Now, my sister, and I talk about it in Silver Linings, my lovely sister, rest in peace, Pat, she gave me an exercise that she did that I included in Silver Linings, and we called it the filing cabinet. Now, it's a very simple exercise that you can do. If you are driving along and you're at a red light and you find you've got a pit in your stomach and you think about what am I thinking about, and you are ruminating, imagining or exaggerating, then you've got to do something about it. Now then, don't just try to suppress the negative thought by thinking about something positive. It's not going to work. If you try to do that, it's a little bit like, if you're in a swimming pool with a beach ball and you try to push the beach ball under the water, it keeps bobbing up again. That's what happens if you try to suppress negative thinking. So what we have to do is, especially if you're in that particular situation, just going along, doing whatever you do during the day, and you find yourself doing this, just say to yourself, think about the thought that you're having, whatever it is, whether it's a ruminating, imagining or exaggerating thought, and say to yourself, I'm going to put that in the filing cabinet and I'm going to deal with it later. Now, if you can, and you're not driving, you can sit and just close your eyes and actually physically visualise a filing cabinet. Think about your worry, title the top of the page, put it in a filing box and say to yourself, I will come back to that and deal with it later. And then come back to the present moment. Look around you, ground yourself in that place where you are at the present moment. You've got rid of that particular thought, you're going to deal with it later, and off you go, carry on with the rest of your day. Do not underestimate the simplicity of the filing cabinet. My sister came up with this for herself when she was having to wait for results of treatments that she's had, because she had cancer. And very often you're always waiting for a result for something, and it's awful. It's the waiting in that situation that can often, and the uncertainty, of course, that can often be the most difficult thing. So she would say, if ever the worry came up about that particular result, that's what she would do. Put it in the filing cabinet, so if she had a test on Monday and she wasn't getting the result till Friday, that's where that particular problem went, in the filing cabinet until Friday. And if it popped up again on Thursday, like the beach ball, then she would imagine it again, back in the filing cabinet, and would not allow it to ruin the rest of her week. If Pat can do it with that kind of massive thing, then we can all do it with lesser worries that we have during the week that take us away from what we ought to be doing. So you've got this issue in the filing cabinet and you're going to deal with it later. We'll come back to it, but let's now just talk about what happens at night time. You may not, because you might be working, you may not do these things during the daytime. You might not think during the daytime. For you, it might be a nighttime thing. See what I did there? Nighttime thinking, where it keeps you awake. I mentioned this when we were talking about sleeping better. Thinking keeps you awake. The gremlins really come out at nighttime, and everything that you're concerned about is magnified. So, what are you going to do about that? Again, don't try to suppress the negative thought. Accept it. Say to yourself, here you go again. I would say Christine, of course you would say your name. I'm exaggerating, I'm ruminating, or I'm imagining. Okay? This is a more intense version of the filing cabinet. Keep a pen and paper beside your bed. If this thinking is keeping you awake, sit up and start writing. And write down everything that's in your head. And keep writing these worrisome thoughts, whatever they might be. Don't censor yourself, because nobody's going to read these. You're just going to keep writing. Now, this is a version of Morning Pages, and her name has escaped me. Oh, Julia Cameron. Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way. This is my version of her Morning Pages. What happens is you get all of these worrying thoughts out of your head on paper, keep going, and when you've done it, put the paper down beside the bed and say, I'll deal with that in the morning. Okay, two things that happen here. First of all, your brain, research has shown that your brain loves the fact that you've made a decision here, and making decisions reduces anxiety, even if it's just a decision to come back to it later. Okay, thought, I'm not forgetting about you, I'm just going to deal with you in the morning. I'll get back to you in the morning. Okay, reduces anxiety, helps you to sleep. Again, during the daytime, reduces anxiety, allows you to get on with your day. The other thing it does at night, and honestly, trust me on this, when you get up in the morning and you read what you've written, you'll be horrified because of this gremlin thing at night. And the people who've done this exercise with me, they tend to be very embarrassed about what they've written, embarrassed to themselves about what they've written because of the gremlin effect during the night time. And they can see when they read, oh my goodness, I can't imagine that I was thinking like that. How could I be thinking like that? Because everything is exaggerated at the night time. Now, what happens is if you keep doing this, your brain starts to realise when you go to bed at night and you start thinking, your brain thinks, hang on a second, I know that my brain plays tricks on me at night time, and I know that these thoughts are not real because of the experience you've had of reading your nighttime thinking thoughts that you've written down. Okay? So, what happens if you have a genuine concern and you weren't actually thinking? You have a genuine concern. Well, that's when you look at that concern and go back to our second stinking thinking video and work through that exercise on there that helps you to work through a particular negative thought. Okay, there's a lot there. Go back and listen to the video again. Take it step by step. This takes practice. You've been overthinking and thinking for most of your life, if not all of your adult life. You're not going to stop it in an instant. It takes practice. The good thing is, each time you do it, you'll realise, that actually works. That actually made me feel better. Once you get that little bit of positivity, you hit this upward spiral of positivity that I've talked about before, and I'll be talking about in detail again, that puts you in a better place to be able to deal with your problems, genuine problems. So, how was that? Tell me what you tend to do. Are you an imaginer? Are you an exaggerator? Or are you a ruminator? Or don't you do any of those things? And if you don't do them, tell us how you manage not to. Okay, share whatever you like with me in the comments box. I love hearing about your where you're from, actually. I love hearing where you're from. I said to someone in the last comments box, I love knowing where my subscribers are from, and I enjoy the fact that we can all get together from all over the world. So yeah, comments please. I would look forward to that. And let me know if you want to continue with this, because it's really going to help you, but I don't want to keep labouring the point if you've had enough of that subject. Okay, so remember, until I see you the next time, that on the Happy Stuff and Fluff, we are getting happy and growing younger. Thank you so much for watching. You know I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.